Oh, hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to another great virtual lunch and learn. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have Tim Rayburn and Kevin Baker with us. They will be talking about career growth and development at Improving. Without any further ado, take it away, guys.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jordan. And as we go through this presentation, if anyone has questions, please feel free to use the Q&A feature that is available, and I believe that Jordan is about to make an announcement into, so that you can ask questions, and I will hand them over to myself and Kevin as we go through the process. With that said, let me take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Tim Rayburn. I'm a vice president of consulting out of our Dallas office of Improving, and I'm joined today by my peer, Kevin Baker. Kevin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Tim, and thanks for having me. So, as Tim mentioned, we are peers in the Dallas office. We're both VPs, and that's definitely not where I started out at Improving, and I'm looking forward to telling you a little bit about that story as well as growth opportunities at Improving.
Excellent. So, Kevin, first I want to start out by just talking about who are we talking to today, right? Who is the audience that we'd like to talk to about what a career path at Improving looks like? And so, I think while we may very well have attendees from multiple of our offices attending with us today, I think this is really focused externally, right? On people who might be interested in a career at Improving. Is that fair?
Absolutely. I think that there's a couple different audiences I hope to hit today. One is those potential future improvers who are looking for somewhere that they can grow themselves and help other people grow, as well as maybe other technology companies, maybe other companies outside of technology who are looking for opportunities or ways to creatively think about how do we help people grow while they're at our companies.
Excellent. So why is employee development so important to Improving? Why is this so critical to us that we spend this time on it? Where we have a variety of programs that we're about to talk about that are related to this, and that we spend all of this time, effort, and money that we do on these sorts of programs.
To answer that question, I think we have to go all the way back to the very beginning of Improving, which is 16 years ago now, back in 2006. I was not here then, but I've heard the stories, and Tim, you can jump in and correct me if I get some of the names wrong here. But my understanding is we did not have values. We did not have a set of aspirational values that we came into as we started the company. It was a little bit different. The original set of consultants came in and they just started doing what they do best, which was interacting with each other and clients. Along that, growth happens just naturally. It's just something that just oozes out of improvers, which I've experienced as well. But that original set of consultants said, you know what, we do need values. We know we do. We need what we now call our identity, our core value set, and put together a group of consultants. I believe it was Mission to Mars was the name of that project, and went out and talked to our customers and said, how do you experience improvers? What do we show? How do we show up? What makes us different than other consultants or other technologists that you've worked with? And then went internally to each other and said, ask the same question. Took all that information back and created our identity or our core values. Inside of the involvement value, we have a line that says that you are actively planning and committing to your personal growth. So this is something that was all the way back at the very beginning of how are we being successful in our customers and with each other? Well, we plan our growth and we actively commit to that growth and we actively work on it. So it's always been at the foundational level of what makes an improver an improver. Now we took that not just for the improver, but brought it up to the company level as well. The company has goals and ambitions of where we want to go with our organization. and we actively plan and commit to that growth as well. So why is it so important? One, it's been who we are. It is who we are. It is something that's in our blood. So that's one piece of why it's important. The other piece is we're in technology. Technology moves so quickly that if we're not actively learning and growing, we can very quickly find ourselves behind. Another piece of this too is the world is changing. How we interact with each other, how we interact with our customers, how we interact with each other is constantly changing as well. And we can grow in our interpersonal skills along with our technical skills. One reason people come to consulting is to get multiple experiences, to be able to grow and be able to move around and get different aspects of different environments without having to move from job to job to job. That improving, you can do that while you're also learning and growing and taking things that you've learned somewhere else and bringing them back to the rest of your teammates and help them grow in areas that maybe was not apparent that they could grow in, whether that's from conferences or engagements. And this builds connection as well. I know that's something that I've really enjoyed is as people go out to conferences and bringing back that one piece from a talk that really hit them, and then sharing that in one of our programs that we're going to talk about with other improvers.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about those internal programs. So we've defined that this is something critical to us that we've really built into our identity, right, to help people commit to their future growth. We've talked about how important it is from a perspective of we're in the realm of technology and it changes so quickly that really standing still is falling behind, right? Given all of that, what programs have we developed internally that really help people lean into this growth, who help people develop into the better versions of themselves?
Absolutely. The first one I want to talk about is something we call improving you. And whenever I talk about improving you, I like to talk about it as if we have 4 levels of improving you. The first one is just fun, getting together and spending time together with other improvers. What do I mean by this? It can be string art, it could be painting, it could be wine tastings. There's so many different ways. Recently, thanks to you, Tim, learning how to make sausage for our 4th of July barbecue here in Dallas. So that's really that level 1 of this program. Level 2 is all around your professional practice growth. So what do I mean by that? That is, my background is in user experience. We have done things like empathy mapping workshops or intro to user experience. We have a class coming up that is how do we collaborate between user experience and development in a better way so that we can then take that to our customers as well. We also have agile coaches and scrum masters and the Scrum Guide updates. And so somebody who is really passionate about that will often put out a class in improving you to update the rest of the improvers on here's what has changed and here's what it means and here's ways that you can utilize it. The third level is all around our culture. This is where we will talk about trust. Trust is huge at improving, and we believe it is our first job every day to be building that trust. So how do we help our improvers and help each other build trust? Conscious capitalism is our philosophy. So what does that mean? How do I live that out as an improver day to day? How does improving live this out, and how can I communicate this to other people? As well as something we call delivery excellence. And this is, how do I behave as a consultant? What are some ways that I can improve my communication skills, delivery skills? What is that life cycle at improving so that we have a common language and just a continuous reminder and a way to bring more seasoned consultants, more entry level or junior consultants together to learn from each other. And then lastly, the 4th level, which I just call higher education. And these are typically much longer courses, all the way up to 2 years. These focus less on the practice area focuses and more on personal development around self-awareness, awareness of others, situational awareness. How do we do sales? How do we do business? What is financing? How does financing work? How does it work inside of a consulting company? To that end, we even have a game that we call the consulting game, the improving consulting game, that we got a group of improvers together last night to play. And the purpose of this game is to give improvers a chance to experience what it's like to start a consulting company and to run a consulting company, and what are all the competing factors that go into making decisions. And it's a really, really great game, but it's another way that we are helping our consultants understand the business, because back to those core values, another one of those core values is for everybody to own the company name as if it was their own. So that's one of the programs that we have and have had for a very long time, and it continues to evolve. It evolves with the business, it evolves with the ask of improvers. Another program, another growth program that we have is something we call PATH. And PATH was born out of the idea of coming alongside improvers where they are, helping create a growth mindset and a future in their career development.
All right. And so when we look at the PATH program, and we look at the improving you and things like that, and when just in general, when we talk about the employee development and the development of a career plan, how important is goal setting and accountability to that process as a whole, right? How important is it to be setting goals, to be held accountable to those goals, etc.?
It is so important that one of those higher education courses in Improving You that we created is a PATH coaching course. And this isn't a 2-hour course. This is several weeks over several weeks and several hours in between, where we're practicing skills. We are practicing ways to ask people to be accountable, not necessarily to us in a bad way, but self-accountable. If you're not writing goals down, it's very easy to get busy. It's very easy to get distracted, shiny ball syndrome or squirrel, and even forget where those goals are or what those goals are. And knowing the how and the what of what that goal is and how you might go about achieving that goal, and having accountability, whether that's through your career coach and meeting with them once a month and just talking about how progress is going, or meeting with your manager and asking there, how are your goals? Is there anything I could do to be supporting you? Those things are great. But whenever we understand the why, it can then be inspiring. So one of the things that we do is we consistently ask, why do you want to do that next thing? Why is your goal to read a book? What is going to be different in your life? And as we start thinking about those things, we then are able to open up our minds even more to that growth and start identifying, here's why. Well, why is that important to you? Well, this is why it's important to me. Have you ever thought about doing X, Y, and Z? And out of those kind of conversations, you will find maybe future leaders, maybe future managers, thought leaders, somebody who didn't think they wanted to do public speaking or ever could do public speaking, and through encouragement and find out, no, actually, I think I would like to do that, and not so I want to give in front of people, but because I do care about sharing knowledge. I do think that I have something that I can give back to the world.
So do these programs really, are they about helping us develop the next set of leaders within our company from a sort of managerial perspective? Or is this really about helping me become a better technologist, become a better user experience professional, or whatever else that I'm interested in doing there, right? Is this about the company's plan for me, or is this about my plan for what I want to do with my career?
That is a great and complicated question. Thanks, Tim. The answer is kind of yes, but mostly on helping the improver. We have some purpose statements around why this program exists. And the reason is we want improvers to be successful in their goals. Now, the reason I said yes in both is we do want to focus on the overlap between what the improver's goals are and improving's goals. Now, the beautiful part about that is there is so much, and there can be surprising ways that you would never think that your personal goal to teach at a elementary school around technology and help young girls get into the STEM would be in improving's goals, but it is. And that is the passion of some people. Some people's passion is to run a business. Now that could lead to a potential future president at improving, or a potential vice president or director. And one of the things that we're continuously getting better at is helping to define what we're calling routes. We tend to think about career development as a rock wall. Everybody's heard of that corporate ladder. You just go up the ladder. We don't believe in that. We believe in a rock wall. There's many different ways to make progress and to move forward. So why am I talking about this rock wall thing? And to your question of, is it to the improver or to the company? The reason is that there's many different routes going to the left, to the right, straight up, that we want to be along with the improver along their side while they are figuring that out. That is why we have path coaches as well, to help cast that vision of where that alignment is. We've had people go through our path program and realize that, you know what, technology isn't actually where my heart is. And that's okay. We want to help those people as well. And we have. We've helped them identify that and then create a smooth transition to what their true passion is.
All right. So putting on my hat as your peer, as someone who is responsible for helping manage our Dallas office, should we be concerned that if we're training up our people for helping them get better, right, that they're going to leave and go on and use those skills to move on to their next position, right? Should we be frightened of that? Should we be concerned about that in regards to these programs?
Absolutely not. And there's a few reasons, and I'll be honest, the first thing that pops in my head whenever you ask that question is a very funny joke about a CFO asking that question of a CEO. Go look it up. I'm not gonna steal that joke. But one of our ambition at improving is to change the perception of the IT professional. And that's not just change the perception of the improving IT professional, it's to change the perception of all IT professionals. And the way that we're going to do that is not by only influencing improvers, but influencing those outside of improving. Whether that is through talks like this, or as improvers decide that they're going to move on to another company. Many times what happens there is then they take what they've learned at improving and gone to another company and they're affecting change there. And that lives into that ambition. Another thing is, if we are not pouring into our people, then they're likely going to leave. And so one of the books that we have, it's right in the title of You Can Watch Them Go. And that's not what we want to do. We definitely want to help people create that growth mindset and improve while they're here. If they're doing that, maybe they'll stay, maybe they won't. But what we've done is we've built a really good connection with somebody that's going to last beyond our careers even.
Yeah, I think it's really a great point that you bring up, Kevin, that sometimes the right path forward for someone is that they're going to leave and go do something else. You and I both have worked with a great gentleman by the name of Travis, who was with us for a while and did some really great work, left to go do a startup, saw that startup to success, right? And brought a lot of what he had experienced at improving with him through that experience, and has then moved on through a sequence of other positions to now be a major influence of change within Cisco, right? And we've likewise seen, someone who started with us as a consultant here in Dallas, now serving in a senior role at Microsoft to really influence change inside that organization, right? So we are seeding the opportunities when people leave, right? But we also have people who've been with us for a long time. I myself have been here for 13 years, and there are others who have been here even longer, who are really invested in where improving is going and have continued to grow throughout that journey, right? We've seen people literally rise from the ranks of senior consultant at the point at which they entered the company to now serving as an office president, right? So we definitely have seen significant career growth out of these programs and out of this deliberate path to investing in our people.
Yeah, Tim, you make a great point. And you asked me earlier, are we really focusing on creating those presidents, creating those manager roles, creating those executive roles? And while you and I are talking quite a bit about that, I want to also acknowledge that growth doesn't necessarily have to mean growth into an executive role. Technical growth, you mentioned that you've been here 13 years. I'm thinking of an individual who's been here the 16 years of the company, who is not an executive, but pours into personal growth and the growth of others through mentorship, through open source community development. There's many other ways that we can have growth and that are just as meaningful. And one of the things that Improving wants to do is to help provide those routes, both if you have the ambition and desire to go the executive route or the practice area. If you have desire to continuously get better in the practice area and make change there, we want to provide routes in both areas because they're both extremely important, both needed for any company.
This is absolutely true. And so when we look at that process, right, of we have all of these ways to invest into people, and I'll choose one of my favorite versions of Improving to Advanced courses, which is our IBP program, which is a 12-week investment into really understanding how Improving does its business, how it works from a financial point of view, how we sell, etc. I generally describe it to people as this is your MBA in how we do business, right? And we have consultants of all levels going through that, right? To not because of the fact that they're destined for this executive path, right? But because of the fact that everyone benefits from an understanding of how the business they work for actually runs, right? Because a little bit of awareness in those areas can really open your eyes to ways that you can make an impact on your day-to-day experience out working as a consultant who's a dynamics consultant, or someone who's going and doing a Google Cloud lift and shift as a cloud architect, right? So what are other ways that we provide programs that enable that sort of broadening of skills inside of these programs that we're talking about?
what a great example. And one of the things that also can come out of that is not only that mini MBA, which gives you a taste in IBP, but also gratitude. Gratitude that is not your job. Again, back to the consulting game, many times we hear, oh my gosh, who does this? I am so glad they do it and I don't ever have to worry about doing that. While it is that person's passion who is doing that thing. Other programs, we have an executive development program that is 2 years long. And this is a program that all of our executives are going through. And you want to talk about MBA, that is an MBA and even beyond, because you are really diving in deep to business aspects as well as what does courage really mean and how do we build courage? What is awareness and how do we build awareness, again, of self, of others, and situations? We've had programs come and go as well. We had one that was called the Foundational Leadership course that dove in just a little bit more. Is something in between IBP and this executive program that was open to all improvers, to where you did take concepts and you dove into them just a little bit further than we did in IBP, starting to introduce concepts around time management, concepts around distraction management, which kind of leads into time management, as well as what are different states that we live in that could cause us to be reactive, and how do we change those states in our mind to where we can be more proactive and more, again, back to that growth mindset and not a scarcity mindset. How do we do some of those things? And how do we know when we're falling into that trap? I feel like there might be one more course or one more that you're looking for, and I'm drawing a blank right now.
Not at all. But what I think I'd like to do as we start moving into wrap up here, Kevin, is to ask you, like, how have all of these programs really come and borne fruit in your personal journey, right? Did you show up at Improving with aspirations of serving in a vice president role within Improving and really having a focus in helping people with their career growth, or is that some of the things that you discovered as you went through your path and grew through your career while you were at Improving?
I did not start at Improving as a vice president. I came in as a senior consultant. And one of the things that attracted me to Improving was sitting down with our still current president of Dallas, David O'Hara, and having a conversation about what does my future look like? Even before I was hired, we were having this conversation. What do I see my future as? Now, I've had aspirations of running a business and being inside the business side, but I didn't really have a path of how I was going to get there. It was just, yeah, there's this thing that I like and I want. Well, got to Improving, first day, sat in a room actually with you and what we had as team rooms. And I remember feeling like I was the dumbest person in the room and loving it. All right, I've hit somewhere where there is going to be a ton of growth opportunities, both in my professional practice area, but also outside of that. So I went from that senior consultant and worked my way through some of the programs that we had in place then to become a principal consultant. Once I got to principal consultant, I really started to better define what it was I was looking for moving forward. When we started the PATH program, I was very blessed to be one of the guinea pigs for PATH and setting goals and how do we do accountability? How do we go and do vision casting? And then truly working towards that. Being a part of that initial pilot program is, I truly believe, one of the things that got me to becoming an executive of the company or director. Now, during that time too, I had poured into a lot of these Improving You courses. I had done the IBP course. I had done some of our other higher education courses. Then once I became a director, I went through our FLC course. While in that, I also went through the previous executive development program that then helped me get to vice president. Not because I did the programs, but because I was in there and I poured into them and I took away the learnings from those programs and integrated them into my life, my career. And by doing that, it was able to help me then achieve the goals that I was setting forth through coaching, through mentoring, and personal change.
That's really great. And so I wanted to share, we have some current improvers who have chimed in on the Q&A, and one of them commenting on how much they have enjoyed the benefits and the confidence that they gain by being surrounded by improvers who are really interested in growing themselves. And the phrase here, it's truly a gift to work somewhere with so much support from the top down in our people, right? And I thought that was a great sentiment. But we also had someone asking, what's the biggest pushback we get regarding people being interested in path and improving human delivery excellence, and like, how do we respond when this message doesn't land just perfectly and doesn't just light people up with great excitement at the very first time that it's explained to them?
Yes, so there's two things I want to talk about there. One is there is a lot of support from the top down, all the way from our CEO through all of our executives, all of our consulting ranks. One of the key phrases that I really enjoyed when I first got here is, yeah, you might go out and you be the only consultant on a project, but don't worry, you have the rest of improving at your back. And it is so true. We currently have around, I believe, 16 or 1700 improvers. And if you are going out on a project, we have ways for you to raise your hand to the rest of the entire company and say, hey, has anybody ever experienced this and willing to help me out? I don't know of a single instance when that has never resulted in at least 5 or more. Hey, yeah, I have, and I'd be happy to jump on a call with you. So there's support all around through the entire improving community. So the second question there, or really your question that you asked, was around, what do we do whenever this doesn't really land with somebody? We want to be there for you. And so you asked earlier, is this really improving's way of getting managers? And no. And so if this is not something that is landing for you right now, and we also have to take into consideration, where are you in life? What's happening in your life? Is it a period of your life where you need to back away a little bit? That's okay. But what we are going to do, because we care about you, is consistently bring it up, ask questions, encourage you to be a part of these programs. Some of the pushback that we will get is, we've heard, well, I'm going to retire in 5 years, so I'm not interested in career development. Which, learning from across our offices, we then start asking questions around, well, what does your legacy look like? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? That's a little bit different than career development, but it's along the same lines. And that is something that's been inspiring. Other things are, I already have goals, or I don't need to be held accountable. That's fine too. If you do have a system that's already working for you, work that system, but be in communication with those around you, because you never know who could be that next coach or mentor to you that could take you beyond where you want to be. In one of the books that we read in one of our courses, it talks about the power of saying what your goals are, not just writing them down, but also saying and sharing them, because the person sitting next to you might have the experience or the connections or knowledge that can help you get to that point. So we want to consistently encourage people to participate in these. Again, and this is something that I'll say in executive interviews, and I believe you do as well, Tim, you will get out of improving what you put into improving.
Absolutely true. And Kevin, one of the things I want to also add in there is, when people tell me, hey, I already have a plan for my career development, I'm already investing in myself, and I don't need someone new to be accountable to, right? I always say, that's great. Talk to me about the fruit, right? Talk to me about the fruit that you're getting out of that career development, because I want to celebrate that fruit, even if it's coming out of a set of accountabilities and a set of systems that aren't exactly what improving has set down, right? Because it is the fruit that we're looking for in the end of it all, right? Let us see the growth and let us see the outcome of that effort that you're putting into growing yourself.
Absolutely. And the other piece to that too is we want to be continuously improving ourselves. So we are also always looking for what are ways that we can improve so that we can improve and help other people. That goes back to that PATH program and that those coaches that are in that PATH program. We don't just say, okay, cool, you're a career coach now. We get together once a month so we can learn and grow from each other and talk about experiences so that we can celebrate and so that we can find new ways to continuously help improvers.
So Kevin, as we come in here and wrap up, what's the one takeaway that you want to give to the potential new improver, right? Who's out there thinking about joining our team, right? And what do you want them to take away about our employee development and about our programs in this space?
Such a great question. I think the one thing to take away is these are not just words that we're spouting off in a virtual Lunch and Learn. These are not words that we just throw up on the wall. What we've talked about today is real action that is lived out inside of improving, inside of the walls. As you come to improving, this is not just fodder to get you in. This is what you will experience. And that, I believe, is a huge differentiator between improving and many other programs I hear about of they have the program, but they don't live out what they're talking about. This is in our blood.
That's an excellent point. So we have one last question that's come in here from the Q&A, which is, Kevin, what does a day in the life of a PATH coach and mentee pair look like? Like, what does that experience feel like from the employee side of things? Like, how does that actually play out?
Yeah. So we have a method that we use of one, just talking a little more about the program. What is PATH? What is career development? What does that look like? How do we approach it? I'm not going to go deeply into the how, because that's not how you feel as the improver going through it. I can say from my perspective, whenever I was going through as the coachee, I felt supported and challenged, because not challenged in being asked questions that were pushing me outside my comfort zone, being asked questions that I hadn't considered before. And that made me really think. And then once I created those goals, I had support in creating them and understanding of how would I know that I'm being successful here? And then being asked, okay, what are you going to do to reach that goal? So really helped me break it down to where, I talked about whenever I came to improving, I knew this bigger idea of what I wanted, but I didn't really have a plan of getting there. Being supported in creating that plan. Once you create that plan, then it's communication. It is intentional conversations where being asked, how are things going? Or maybe it is reading a book. What have you learned? And how have you put that into practice? So it's those style of questions that keep you motivated and inspired to continue down your own goals and your own path. Another thing is expecting to be connected to other improvers. Your PATH coach may not be the best mentor for you. Tim, if you were my PATH coach, I'm sorry, but there's no more technical that I want to learn. And I know that you're great in that mentor space, but I know several improvers who do. And so using that path coach to say, hey, this is some things that I want to do. Do you know anybody who could help me? And being connected to those people. That is another experience piece, because reaching up and raising your hand to 1,700 people can be scary. But if you have a warm introduction from your path coach to somebody inside Improving who can really help you along the way for a specific item, that is really, really nice for many people.
Absolutely. So Kevin, I really want to leave the call to action here is, if these types of programs have interested you, if they're the type of thing that you're looking for in your life to help you grow into the better you, right? Then I would encourage you to find your way to improving.com/careers. You'll find all of our opportunities there. If you want to simply continue to engage in this conversation, I know I always welcome these types of conversations, be they on social media or directly via email to my email address of tim.rayburn@improving.com or kevin.baker@improving.com for Kevin. If you'd like to continue these conversations, please reach out to us. Let's talk, because of the fact that I know Kevin and I both, enjoy working with passionate people, and the key to that is to reach those people and encourage them to come be a part of our family here at Improving. So again, improving.com/careers if you're interested in learning more about our current open opportunities. And with that, I will turn it back over to Jordan to wrap us up.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Kevin. That was really a very inspirational talk. We're always glad to have you guys on our Lunch and Learns. And to our attendees, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see these numbers come in and see how much interest we actually get in these topics. It's wonderful to see that these are making a difference, and the questions we get and all that. It's wonderful to see. Again, everyone, join us next week to keep your eyes out. We always have Lunch and Learns every Friday, and we're happy to have you. Thank you, everyone, and see you next week.